Good afternoon, Soleil and Amy. Can someone let me know that you can hear me, please?
I can hear you. Hello.
So good.
Yes, I can hear. Thank you.
Thank you, Soleil. Well, I did they Hello. Glad to see your smiling face.
Oh, thank you.
How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, never taken a leave for years.
Well, I used to teach all the time. I saw this class and I'm like, I'm coming. Well, James said but an Alan I know was supposed to be here, I don't know where he is, but
Yeah.
I used to teach all the time. I've taught Ignite, I love to teach, And, it's kind of taken a little bit of a back seat, right? Because it's been a little busier, so. Anyway. So, did everybody get some popcorn from Kelly? Thank you. Kelly, do you want to say something? Sure. Yeah.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kelly Wickendall. Giving your warranty partner and resource. So one thing I did want to just mention to you guys is about our complimentary listing coverage. My favorite coverages. So if you guys are looking for sellers to sell some listings, this is a great marketing tool to use. How our complimentary listing coverage works is we don't know how long we're going to market, right? We're market for a couple of hours, days, weeks, months, even up to a year. So what we're proposing to your seller, we will give them a free warranty during our listing. All we ask is for a commitment, a verbal commitment that they're going to market with the home and present an offer at that point. So the good thing about listing coverage is nothing due up front, nothing due until closing, and only if it closes the deal. So the number one question, Kelly, what if we have listing with you guys for 3 months? You guys go out there, you guys pay claims. You just kind of do a little small replacement. We owe anything. That's close with the warranty, you owe absolutely. The only thing that is optional during our listing period is adding the air conditioner coverage. That's only an additional $50 if you wanted that coverage. But if you decide you don't want that coverage, and it does convert over to higher coverage, AC fine. So great marketing tool to use. You know, we all know sellers, the last thing they want to use is money stuff. And so you that here, and he does happen. It happens all the time. Right before closing, they notice the water heater leaking during the walkthrough. That could be eligible.
And that's monthly or like right down this?
The whole time is for 180 days. Great question. But if it's still listed, we can renew it for another. And they can only get the standard coverage. But then we can always upgrade it for fire. The seller does not have to commit to buying it. Market it. We just ask that they market it saying own warranty, or they had coverage for 3 months. The good thing about that is that they come back at you saying, well, this AC is old, we want you to pay $10,000. No, you have a warranty. We had coverage for the transaction. We'll pay for the warranty. Or if everything is great, you can say, hey, just by the way, we've had two coverage, complimentary listing coverage, the home has been agreements. Your buyer has the option to purchase that warranty that whole year, they have closing for a whole year, where it should they had seamless coverage and it has not, they had 3 months. But I'm here at Complimentary Package. So if you guys ever need to talk to your sellers or your buyers, that's what I'm here for. Knowing that you have Thank you guys.
Thank you,
Well,
Kelly.
I'll see you guys. Thank you. See you. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.
All right. So that is, and obviously, homework is so critical, honestly. Even for rental properties, we have rental properties and we put them on rental properties. Our rental properties are out of state, but, it's super important. So anyway, we'll just make this a little casual since there's a fewer group here. I think this class, actually, I've never done this class before, just so you know I'm a guinea pig. And this class, I think, is super, super, super important because I think we need to debunk the idea that we're not salespeople. So many people think that we're in the business, and it's true, hang on, that we're just in the business of relationships. We are. And forget that we're first and foremost salespeople. And we go straight into the relationship, which is fantastic, and don't get the skill, I spit out popcorn, and don't get into the skills of selling. And I think we need to tackle the fact that we need to know how to sell as well, right? Does that make sense? And I was talking to somebody the other day, and I don't know, it hit me like a light bulb, and I was like, oh my gosh, how many of us are actually equipped to be able to sell? Right? We might just organically figure it out as we go, but until we're really equipped with salesmanship, we're not going to excel in the art of relationship building and then be able to sell homes along the way. And that's where this kind of came from. And I was talking to one of my coaches because they have stuff. And he and I were talking about it, and I was like, why do we not have more classes on selling? And he goes, that's a great question. I mean, think about it. We have classes all the time on buyer and seller representation and negotiation, which is part of selling, and all of these other things. But not one is, hello, we have to learn how to be a salesperson. Not one that I've ever seen. I remember first, way back in my career, I was in a class. I remember I could still see the room. And I was like, I am in the business of building relationships. Thank you very much. And I refuse to become your business. And this guy in the room, it's like, you are crazy. You're a salesperson. I said, no, I'm not. I am not. I refuse to go down with that ship. I am not a salesperson. I equate that to the fact that it is a used car salesperson. No offense to anybody on the sector. And I said, no, I will not be compared to a used car salesperson. That's what I think about when I think of this. Because I hate going to buy a car. Like, loathe it. And I said, I never want to be compared to a person. And he said, you're a salesperson. And we actually had a meeting over salesperson. No. And long story short, years later, I was like, it's just we're selling ourselves. It's a different kind of sale. And there's different tactics along the way that we need to learn to be able to do it at a high level, right? So we're going to kind of unpack that a little bit. And we're going to kind of learn what steps there are to be able to do a better job. Okay, and after this, we can share the format that I have, but I wanted to go through it. Come on in. Having trouble hearing. I am not sure how to fix that.
Like, is it low or cutting out?
It makes better now.
And it's garbled.
Is that better?
Yes.
Or Carrie, maybe Carrie, she's really good at it. I just turned it up a little bit, or tell you perfectly. Well, because Tony's right
This
under
time was
now.
right under the mic.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes it might help for them to not sit right under there, because if there's any sound, it.
Oh, then it captures that sound, okay. Okay, all right, so let's unpack this a little bit, let us know if it's better or not, okay? Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Carrie. My pleasure, you're the queen. I turned it up a little bit, and she said it might be a little bit better, but I'm not sure. Okay,
Check the chat.
check. Number one, I think first and foremost, it starts with a mindset. I think first and foremost, to be a great salesperson, it starts with a good mindset. Can we agree to that? And I think sometimes we just think, well, we just have to have skill. We do, that comes next. You have to have great skill. But first and foremost, you have to have great mindset. Do we get 100% of our commission? When we sell something, at the end of the day, we get 100, you don't get a paycheck, do we? We don't get a paycheck do we have a W-2 or a 1099? That's my question, I guess. It's a 1099 job, so we don't get paid unless we actually work. So to be able to enter that kind of business, we have to have a great mindset to be able to overcome the obstacles, right? So number one, you have to have a great mindset. You have to have things that are feeding your mind on a daily basis to be able to handle the things that are gonna come at you. My husband said something to me way back when I first started, and I was boo-hooing one day when I didn't get a listing. And he said, it's not about how often you lose something, because you're gonna lose something a lot. It's about how many times and how quickly you get back up. And that has stuck with me so many times. So the quicker we jump back up after we quote unquote fail, after we lose something, or after we don't get something, or if we get rejection, the quicker that we're gonna be able to get back up, and the more we develop a stronger mindset, right? What are we doing every day to set up a sharp mindset? I don't know if you guys notice the thread of the things that I send every week, right? A lot of it has to do with strong habits, strong mindsets. And I think that's what first and foremost we have to develop. As a salesperson, you have to have good habits and good mindsets, right? So what are we doing to develop that first and foremost? Number two, sales skills, or number three, whichever one that is. Sales skills. Say that 5 times really fast. Sales skills. What kind of classes have we taken to develop our sales skills? And maybe let's discuss that, specifically for skills. How many people know how many hours it takes to be a master at something?
1,000, 10,000,
10,000.
10,000.
10,000. If you want to be very skilled at something, say sales, and you want to study it, and you want to practice it, you would have to do it for 10,000 hours. Who in here feels like they're very skilled and masterful at the sales job? Or getting it?
like I've always been in sales of some kind.
Yeah, but it's a good barometer, right? It's a good barometer to determine where we are in the process, right? What are the traits of a successful real estate agent? Let's chit chat about that. What are the traits of a salesperson and in our job, in our industry, a real estate person?
Could be a really good listener. No, that's on my head.
That one stinks. Listener?
Even record.
These are not great. Sounds better. A listener, what else?
Persistent,
What was that?
persistent.
Persistent. And we'll have to define that one. What else?
Knowledge.
Knowledge. Which is expertise, right?
Right.
I think knowing how to present yourself, like
Professionalism.
being professional, yeah.
I love that.
I think resilience.
Oh, so important.
Define resilience.
Resilience in so many ways, and it's not, and I haven't mastered it, it's still work. But resilience in that, just because somebody says no, for example, that you just, okay, walk away, you know? Because you're always gonna get pushback at every step of the game, whether it's your client, whether it's the other agent, whether it's the seller, if you're a buyer, whatever, you're gonna get pushback along the way. And, being resilient, professionally resilient is really important.
Can I give you an example to that?
Mhm.
On our scripts and role play that we do on Game Room, that I did for so many years, we do a practice of objection handling 5 to 6 times, right? So if we role play on that conversation and play with me, Stella, you say to me, I'll ring, ring. Hello. Hi, this is Dina Furlow with Keller Williams Chattanooga. How are you?
I'm great, Nina, how are you?
Awesome. Good to hear. Hey, you were inquiring about 123 Main Street on my website, and I wanted to reach out and see what your interest was on that property.
Well, I just was, taking a look around, seeing what was out there.
Okay, and just start saying no, okay, when I say something. Fantastic. And so it looks like you're looking at 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, is that right?
I was, but I'm not doing that anymore.
Oh, awesome. So what drew you to that property to begin with?
Yeah, at first I thought I wanted a house that big, but now, I'm thinking we're not gonna move it.
Oh, gosh, okay, well, you know what, I totally understand that, sometimes things change, I get that. And if you were to move at some point, what would that perfect house look like for you?
More like a 3-bedroom ranch, but yeah, we just decided this wasn't the right time.
Oh, gosh, you know what, I totally get it, you know, timing is everything. And I would love to maybe just connect with you and see what that timing would look like, so that when you are ready, we don't miss that opportunity. How does that sound?
To be okay, I'd rather just wait on that, conversation until I really feel ready and then I can maybe reach out.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I'm not here to hard press or pressure you into anything. You know, I'm in the relationship business, and I love to make relationships and to really meet one-on-one with people. And that's what I love and am passionate about the show. Would it be okay with you if we just set up a time to meet for coffee and just to start getting to know each other? So that whenever you are ready to make a move, then we already have an established relationship. Would that be okay with you?
I'll take a look at my calendar and see if I have any time for that, but I'm not so sure I have it.
Oh, you know what? Again, it's okay. You might not be in front of your calendar, and I'm gonna open mine up real quick. I don't know if you have your phone and you can open yours up. And maybe let's just look at something and pencil it in. I know life is busy. I know you get busy. I get busy too. And I wanna make sure that we have at least some time allocated, whether it's next week or next month. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever works for you. How does that sound?
Why don't I just give you a call when I'm in front of my calendar?
Okay, how many times did she say no and how many times did I
Like,
press?
I've said no a lot of times. I'm like, okay, how many times before I give in?
Yeah. Okay, did you notice how many times we just kept going with that? How many times are people gonna say, okay, great, no problem, okay, I'll just, bye.
Rarely.
I was close, right? But how many times the agent would say, okay, bye?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
think I'm persistent enough either. Like,
There you
I
go.
don't think I would have gone as far as you just did.
Yeah, so that's what resilience is, what we need to work on. It's not just resilience and, oh gosh, that person, turned me down and I lost a deal and I had to get back up. It's resilience and going after the business. And it's building that muscle to keep going when somebody says no. How do you build that habit? How do you keep going after it? Do you have a skill to keep going after it, to know what to say again and again and again and again and again and again?
But how do you know when to quit? Not quit. How do you know when
When to
to
stop?
stop?
If somebody's
Going.
getting irritated, and you're like, I think I might have just pushed, okay, you know what? That's totally great. Can I just reach out to you in a couple of weeks and just see how you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay, fine, right? We don't want to cross the line to where they're irritated. But yet, if we hang up, another person's gonna call and they're gonna get the appointment. I'm not gonna let that happen. Because I know that I'm the best equipped to help that person over the next person. Because I'm so passionate to my core that I'm the best person for that person. I know it to my core. Do you know it to your core? Do you know that you are absolutely the best one equipped to help that other person with their real estate needs? And until you do, none of this is gonna matter. None of this is gonna matter. You gotta start with your mindset and with your belief system that you're the best equipped as a salesperson to help that prospect. Once you do, everything changes.
So you need to add confidence to that
Confident.
list.
Yeah.
Confidence, but in
Right.
belief system. The confidence begets the belief system. Do you see what I'm saying? Because once I believe to my core that and this is where my passion comes from. I believe to my core that I'm the best person to help that person. That other person's gonna come through the door and they're not gonna care as much. They're not gonna be able to help them and serve them the best way that I can. And I believe that about everybody here too. Like, I know that I care about agents here more than anybody else. So I believe it to my core. So that passion and that confidence begets each other because it's your belief system. So your belief system has to be added to this. And that adds, well, hello, you're a little late, Mr. Allen.
What is source? 1:30 on my calendar.
I think you're wrong. So your belief system has to go hand in hand with your confidence. Does that make sense? Okay, so how confident are you that you have a great belief system around your business?
Not just for position.
Okay. Ah, this is stupid thing. I can't with this. I can't. We don't have working criteria here. Okay, pretend this is belief and confidence right there. Okay? So maybe put on your list that you need to work on having a confident belief system. How's that? Having a confident belief system. And if you don't have it, what do you need to do to get it? Right? Until that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You feel free to jump in whenever you want.
Yeah, this one might work. It's a little finer.
Okay, I know, I only have a yellow highlighter and I'm like, that's not gonna help.
All right, curse it way faster than print, so we're gonna do that. Okay. So in order to have a strong confidence, then what do you need to have to be able to walk in? When I remember my first ever deal, I was not confident. I certainly didn't know what I was doing, right? How many of us remember our first transaction?
Oh, yeah.
Right? What did you need to do to be able to gain that confidence and that knowledge as a real estate salesperson? What did you need to do? Prepare, right? What did you need to do to prepare?
Yeah, but all the information.
Yeah, yeah. What did you need? Know the data market, right? Know the market inside and out. What would that entail? The number of solds, the number of pendings, right? All of the information around that property. Wouldn't it be helpful to actually go see and preview all of the property that's for sale, right? During open houses. Know it inside and out. So what would happen is that when I would go on an appointment, I didn't know everything, right? I was like, I've been on 5 listing appointments, that's it, my whole career. But I had previewed the heck out of all of the properties. So when I go to the appointment, I'll be darned, I would talk with such a passion, because then I even had the passion. I would say, but you know what? Your house compares just like that other house down the street, because that one has this, and they were like, you know that property? Oh yeah, and you should see the other one down the street, da, 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 da. And all of a sudden they were like, wait, what? My knowledge was up here. Now my confidence wasn't so great because I didn't know a lot of the data, but I knew all the properties. Right, so my skills started increasing because I knew so much of the market information. So you've got to know the market. And that's part of sales skills. If you don't know the market information,
It's like if you're a car salesperson, you gotta know all about the cars, right? It's no different. If you're a salesperson for homes, you've got to know all the data about real estate. And how do you do that? One piece at a time. That's why every morning when I pull up the data, I pull up all of the data for the MLS. How many homes are for sale? How many homes are pending? How many homes have sold? Now, yours is a little bit more hyper local. If you're marketing a neighborhood, if you're marketing whatever, you just need to pull all of that data to find out more specifics for whatever area you're working. And really, really own it. Know exactly what homes are going up. What does that property that just came on the market? I'm gonna know it inside and out. What's the square footage price? Everything about it. Just learn it like crazy. Now suddenly you're gonna start being that expert that people will say, right? Any comments on that?
A lot,
Okay,
you know what I mean? No, I think in 2024, you can go back to 20 years ago, right? The advent of information at our fingertips, right? You know, like 30 years ago, you buy a car, it's like you rely on the sales guy to tell you about it. And then it started changing. Consumers started going in, they knew more than the salespeople.
Yeah.
that's right.
So then what happens to the value of the sales guy? Or at least perceived value of the sales guy? Just starts doing this, right? And so we need to be careful not to become that, right? Because with information and tech and data, those are all phenomenal things, obviously. But we need to be careful because the consumer, more so than ever, has access to almost everything we do.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's not a bad thing, right? That's great. Imagine how a physician feels or a surgeon. You know, the patient Googled how to do the entire knee surgery before he even walked in there, right? That's fine. But imagine if the patient was like, hey, are you familiar with this new process that's going on right now in Germany? It's really popular. And the surgeon's like, oh, I don't know what that is. Like, yeah, why don't you teach me about it? It's like, that's the last thing. But instead, they were like, oh yeah, 100%. I have another colleague in Germany, Munich, he's actually heading that, you know. We went to med school together. Yeah, it's great. Okay, great, he knows about it. So the last thing you wanna do is show up and be like, oh yeah, you know that house around the corner? And you're like, no, what was that? Right? You're like, oh yeah, I absolutely do, right? This is to Dina's point, right? And so we need to be careful. It's too easy to be like, and I've seen a lot of sales guys, and like you go to, I'm a big car guy, so I go to like dealerships or whatever, and like, you can tell their attitude is like, he's gonna know more about it than me anyway. Why should I research it? Because the consumer's so educated now. And that's the last thing you wanna do, right? So 100%. And then just kind of echoing what you said about confidence. Literally yesterday, I had a friend ask me, you were about to give like a big presentation at work. And he's like, sorry, it's just if I sound this way, he's talking to me. He's like, I have a lot of anxiety right now. I'm like, you don't get nervous when you talk. I'm like, I guess I can, but it's like, honestly, if I know what the heck I'm talking about, I don't get nervous.
Yeah.
I'm like excited. I'm like, please ask me about this. I'll talk to your ear off about this, right? And so in the same way, I think people, they feel that. They feel that from you when you sit down, right? If you're just like,
Right.
please don't ask me something I don't know about, right? Versus someone who's been doing this for a while, right? Or that you're really prepared. You don't have to have been doing it for a while. Those guys, of course, because they are experienced. But if you're newer, as long as you know your stuff, and you know the data, you've done the research, right? You're gonna feel naturally more confident. And that changes everything. We're talking about salesmanship here. How your posture, how you're sitting, right? Are you like this, or are you like leaned in? You're like, oh, please ask this. Please, you know, I have answers, you know? It's all in the presentation too. It's like I can smell the fear off somebody if there's about, right? We've all seen it on the stage, like, oh, this guy's, he's like really nervous, right? He's like sweating, right? Or a guy who's like totally at home on stage, they love it, you know, they're so relaxed, right? So I think in the same way, sellers and buyers alike, they feel that, they can absolutely sense that.
Totally, and I think that has to do with making your client feel comfortable, making your future client, which is what I always like to call it, your future client. Nobody's a prospect, everybody's a future client. And making them feel completely comfortable in your presence and building that rapport right away. And I have been at so many appointments, to Alan's point, that they knew more about the properties around them than I did. That's not a great feeling, because once you get so busy, when I was selling over 100 homes a year, I was blowing and going, right? I'm like showing up, I did that CMA in 10 minutes, and I showed up at that door. And I'm like, whew, I made it, okay, great. And so this property, and they're like, oh yeah, that one, have you been in it? And I was like, anyway, so about that property, that's not great. That's not great. I mean, because I knew the market and because I knew my job really, really well, I still got the listing. But I walked away feeling less than because they knew more about the properties than I did. That's not a great feeling. So don't ever be that person, right? To his point, it's not a great thing. So they do have access to the market. So how do you stay in front of what they might know? They have, I mean, they can pull some of the data from so many of these sites and get so much information. And if we're not doing all of that research ahead of time, then we're not doing our job. We're not doing, how does that compare? How do we differentiate ourselves from our clients?
They go in that neighborhood every single day. They
Yeah.
live there.
Yeah,
So, and chances are, they know the neighbors, right? And so they know, they have stuff that you need to
Yeah.
know.
yeah. They're friends with
You're
us.
going to toe to toe against that knowledge,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So the
You gotta
bare
do that.
minimum, you gotta know what's at least being sold in there, active, right? Chances are they're gonna, oh, I actually know so-and-so as well, or they're about to think it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you brought up a point about the communication skill. I think this is where the rubber meets the road. Have you ever been at an appointment, literally, the data is correct, it's all on point, but that other person could not effectively communicate. You're just not building that rapport with that person. And when that happens, you have just lost the game of sales. Either if that's you or if that other person just lost the deal because they could not effectively communicate. Now, have we ever been that person? I think most of it comes down to effective, what is the saying? I can't remember the quote or who said it. 90% of sales is not what you say, but either your body language or how you say it, the delivery. So this is where the rubber meets the road. It's the communication style, your body language, your mirror and matching. Language of sales, have any of you taken that class, language of sales? Have you guys done a growth plan? Now we're going on a few different. So I love a growth plan, and if anybody has sat with me on a business plan or anything like that, I always love to suggest a growth plan for you. Growth plan means every month you say, what I'm going to do to build my business and my personal growth this year. And one of them, throughout the years that I've done, is to do a language of sales class. It is phenomenal. It's a phenomenal class that Kate Keller-Williams teaches and offers. And it is literally around effective communication. John Maxwell, who everybody knows, right? He said that your compensation is directly in proportion to your communication. Well, that says it all. If we are not able to communicate, then maybe we should look at, well, let me back up. If we're not making the money we want, maybe we should look at how we're communicating. And if we want to increase our pay, maybe we should look at how we should increase our communication style or improve our communication style. Because if those people have said it, I would take note of that, right? How do we need to improve our communication? And how do we need to tweak what we're doing well or do it better? So there's a lot of talk about mirror and matching and those kind of things. Anybody familiar with mirror and matching? Mm-hmm. So I've done it for so long. Anybody not familiar with mirror and matching? Okay. So have you ever been in a dinner or in an appointment and all of a sudden you seem to really build rapport with somebody and you're not real sure why. You just have a connection with somebody. And you're just like, oh my gosh, they were so fantastic. I just had this great connection. And it could be because they're very mirrored to what you're doing. If you pick up their glass to drink, they're picking up their glass to drink. If you lean in, they lean in. If you lay back and you do this, they're doing that. They're mirroring your style, right? They also are mirroring your standard of speech. If you're talking really loud, they talk really loud too, because they're kind of mirroring how your conversation is. If you're kind of low key, so they're gonna match your style. Because how weird would it be if I'm talking really excited and you go, yeah. Am I gonna build rapport with that person? Probably not. So likewise, if somebody's really a loud speaker and you wanna communicate, and you're just a soft speaker, then, and you try to communicate with them as yourself and you're a soft speaker, you're not gonna connect with that person. Cause there's not a commonality. Not that you have to be like, oh, I could at them, they were screaming at me and it just didn't come out. Don't be super fake, but it's about connecting with them on different levels, right? So there's different, in this language of sales, there's different ways to do it. And there's different styles on how to practice that. I do it so often now that I don't even know that I do it. Because it's just a practice. It's a practice that you just learn to kind of style. And like crossing your legs, and you just kind of notice how they do it. And it's just about doing things and they feel heard, they feel seen, and they feel very connected when you do that kind of thing. So I think that's something we can all do immediately to build connectivity with other people very, very quickly. The rest is a little bit more of a practice, right? So maybe try it out with your family. Try it out this weekend. Just maybe try to see if you can connect on different levels with them. I don't know.
I'm laughing because my family, we're all really loud. And when we get together, we just let it to mirror each other. We're just like, we get louder and louder and louder. And so it's just like, I'm not getting together with my family first, scream at each other.
Well, maybe try it differently with their gestures,
Yeah,
maybe, or
yeah,
something like that. Do you have anything to say about that?
No, it's, the only thing is, you're right, my brother was more of an introvert. He got into management consulting over the years. He's changed. At first it was like, see, he's trying. And now it's like, is it really not him anymore?
Mhm.
Or is it that he's become this? You know, he had to learn.
It's a learning.
He had to
Develop
learn.
skills.
Yeah,
It is a
100%.
developing.
You know,
Yeah.
at first it's super uncomfortable for him. You know, he's like, not like super introverted, but he's just like, he'd rather not. It's funny how I've seen it change.
I've seen that in my husband too. He was an electrical engineer for years and years and then went into technical sales. And he's an absolute natural introvert. But he's
Sure.
now become an extroverted introvert
Yeah,
through the years.
Yeah.
He's definitely developed over the last 20
yeah,
years.
you don't
Yeah.
just, it's like you've got,
Yeah, you gotta practice.
but I do believe you naturally just become like that.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
There's things that you just
Yeah.
do, you're like, I didn't know what I was doing,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I want to bring up the disc profile in regard to this. Do you guys all know what the disc profile is? Disc profile. So the DISC is identifying the personality style of everybody. And if you haven't taken one of these, I would recommend doing it. You can just pull it up. Tony Robbins has a free one. And you can just determine what style of personality you have. And now I can pretty much identify anybody just because you kind of learn the style. A D is a very direct kind of person, right? Short answers, get to the bottom line. I am very much a high D and a high I. Those are my two, right? High I is a very outgoing, talkative, kind of, yes, you're very high I. And very much a robust kind of personality. So a high S is a very loyal, steady kind of personality. And S is gonna be a very, my admin in Chicago. I mean, I don't even know if she has anything else but an S. I mean, she is S all the way through. A C is gonna be an accountant style, like an OP for a market center is gonna be a C for sure. So those kind of things are really good to know. So this is why I bring it up. When we have a client that is identified as a D, and you're a high S or a C, and you're talking to a high D as an S, is that gonna be a little bit of conflict?
A little bit.
A little bit, right? You're not gonna build as much of a rapport. Or if you're a high I, this one's when it's more. If you're a high I and you're talking to a high D in a high I style, is that gonna be an issue? It most definitely probably will. Because if you're a high I, you wanna chat it up. You wanna talk about how your family is, you wanna sit and have coffee, you wanna talk all the juice, right? All the tea, that's not it, that's it, right? Not the juice. You wanna talk about all the good stuff. The D is like, why did you call me? Just get to the bottom line. They don't wanna chit chat. They're like, give me the scoop and let's get off. So if you identify your person on the other line, your clients, your future clients, what type they are right away, you're gonna be able to know how to communicate with them effectively based on their personality. So when we were in business, or back when I was in production, we would identify on our files what personality each one was. So my assistant would say, oh, this is Bob Smith, he's a high S, just so you know. In the file, it was always in the file. Oh, this is John, he's a high D. Okay, got it. So when you tag each person, each client as their personality profile, you know exactly how to move forward without interfering. This is a communication style, it's a communication skill to be able to effectively. Why do you think we had a 75% referral and repeat client basis? Because we had a skill to be able to communicate with our past clients and our clients at a very high level, right? We had some clients refer us 20 times or do repeat business 20 different times because we knew how to communicate with them, right? So when you can really master the communication style, again, your income is probably gonna go up. So this is key. This is key, not just the disc, but communication, mirror matching, empathy, empathy. Has anybody read the book, Never Split the Difference?
I haven't.
It's a book about negotiation tactics. Oh, I don't have it in my office. I have it at home. I've read it. We did it as a book club, on our team a few years ago. And it's about negotiation tactics. And, this guy, I can't remember his name, Chris. Anyway, he was a, he was a hostage negotiator for the FBI. And he successfully negotiated, oh gosh, maybe 1,000 hostages or something.
You got in the master class, right?
Chris
Yeah.
Voss.
Yeah, Chris Voss, that's it, Chris Voss. And he successfully negotiated all of these hostage releases. I mean, it was huge. And so then he wrote this book and we did it together to say, what are we missing? How can we effectively communicate? What do we need to learn about how to better communicate with our clients to be able to get a better result? Always growing. The book is phenomenal. It's really good. And he's got in there one part about a sexy DJ voice. He would always get low and kind of slow with his hostages, not the hostages, with the terrorists, right? And he'd go low and he called it his sexy DJ voice because that's how he communicated with these terrorists to be able to negotiate the release. It was very interesting. I can't even speak. Interesting, that's it. So you talk about communication, I can't even do it today. So maybe put that on your list to read. It was great. Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
I have a very smart bedside table filled with all kinds of books that are on.
I love to read, books like this to be able to help. I've got so many great books. If you guys ever need, ideas on what to read, to be able to grow your whatever, just let me know and I can probably give you a few. Any other thoughts?
No,
On that?
I mean, I listened to that, I'm more of a podcast guy, less about books.
Oh, me too.
And so absolutely, the whole masterclass thing. Sorry, there's the masterclass, Chris Paul was on there. Did you watch it? Yeah, it's super interesting, right? There's no like, that's the cool thing about masterclass is that there isn't an SOP on, for sure exactly just the way that, I mean, they train hostage negotiators all the time, I'm sure they do. But yeah, just what he was talking about, just like making he was talking specifically about that voice that you're talking about. He was talking about it's a super highly charged situation here. People have guns aiming at each other.
Yeah,
So then he would just slow himself down.
yeah, he always de-escalated.
And so he was using his voice as a tool to manipulate the situation too, right? And so we have that ability as a tool, not just to match them sometimes, if you feel like you need to change it. We have that ability too,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so,
You have to be conscious of it too.
Yes,
100%, right?
and
So-
again, it's building that skill.
Yeah, I just did a little quick communications kind of, some session on it, and it was really interesting, we were talking about how we use our voices, we think it's like a piano, imagine a piano keyboard. And imagine if I just went like this. Over and over. Like, that's how people think their voices, like, we're like, that's our voice, it's our instrument. But it's not true, you have the entire keyboard, right? Low, high, slow, fast, right? And so we need to like really use that, right?
Mhm.
And so it absolutely can change how you feel.
Yeah, totally, totally.
Human psychology.
Yeah, totally. And I wrote on this one for effective communication is to get engaged in your role play. And, we're not supposed to say script practice anymore, but in your communication conversations, right? I did it 5 days a week for years, and I was already a high-level producer. So if we're not engaged in a role play conversation every day, we're missing out. We're leaving money on the table. And I can say that pretty confidently, because that is going to be your leveling up, and it's on our calendar. That link that I used for years is on the calendar. If you are not engaged in a role-playing conversation every day, you're leaving money on the table, because that is one of the best tools that will help you get better and be able to get more business, hands down. Because it will give you confidence. It will give you resilience. It actually will help you get more professional, because you will know what to say better. It would actually not give you knowledge, but it'll make you sound like you have more knowledge. Let me tell you right there. It will tell you how to be more persistent. Did I sound more persistent a little bit? Yeah? Yes. And you know what? It allows you to be able to listen. Because when you know what to say, what was happening before I did that for so many years, I was always trying to think of what to say, because I didn't know what to say. So what was happening is I was not listening to what the other person was saying. Did you feel heard that when I answered you, that I was actually responding to what you said?
Responding to exactly what I had said and
Yes. So when I was before, I could never hear what they were saying, because I was so freaked out about what the heck I was gonna say. I could never hear what they were saying, ever. So what it allows you to do is listen, because I have it all in my archives. I know exactly what to say. I don't ever have to go, freeze, and have that blank stare. It allows you to do all of these things at a much higher level. So I would immediately do anything you can do to put that on your calendar and do it every day. I believe that very passionately, just in case you didn't know. Just in case you didn't know.
The way I view that, honestly, is, I don't know if there's a lot of people out here who play sports growing up or whatever. If you don't, you can appreciate the analogy. you could wait till the actual game to practice that move that you have.
Mhm.
You could. There's no law that says you can't, right? You can practice that move or that play. It's probably not as effective, right? You wanna practice it. I always joke with my teammates, like, now is not, now, like the refs running up and down, I'm like, now is not the time to
Yeah.
try out your little new move, okay?
Yeah,
We do that during the weekdays, during practice, not at the actual game, right? So you could sit down with 10 buyers and have that experience. Oh, 100%, and guess what? You'll be better than you. Your 11th buyer or your 11th listing presentation is gonna be better than the first one. Or you could actually role play 15 times, and it's like going into your 16th one when you go out there for your listing presentation or product presentation. It's up to you, you can choose, that's the cool part about it, right? If you ever flub in a role play situation, obviously just laugh about it and keep going.
or cry about it, cause I did. I cried about it when I was like, oh my gosh, I've been in this long and I don't know what to say. Oh my gosh, I got off the phone and I cried. And then I realized, well, it's my choice. It's up to me to make a difference. So it's within it's within our power to make a difference.
And there's no way that your client is gonna like,
Right,
hey, stop, okay, hey, that was great.
that was great.
I
We
would do
need to practice.
differently, I would do differently next time. There's no way, there's no way,
No,
they're like, okay,
No.
thanks.
Well, and to Alan's point, you can either practice on your clients or we can practice with each other. And the reason why I don't think it's good to practice, say, you guys have your role play partner every day. Okay, you've got a partner, great, we're committing to do it every day. Guess what happens when you do that?
Get comfortable, start to give them an out a little bit too.
You learn the person.
You learn, yeah.
There you go. You learn the person. You learn the person. That's the main reason. And you get comfortable, but the main thing is you learn the person. You can anticipate what they're gonna say. And so in order for that not to happen, this game room, this game show that we have, you tag team different people. Are all your clients the same?
Of course.
No. That's the beauty of that environment, is that you're gonna, okay, Goodman, okay, Australia, okay, now it's like, okay, go, go, go. You don't know who's gonna pop up next, and you get to practice on each other instead of practicing on your clients. Right? So it gives you a safe space to do that.
Sorry,
Right.
it's recent. Sorry.
Yeah, so should we,
You're right.
run out there, you get one?
I'll be right.
I think that, part of this kind of blends with what I have is about negotiating strategies, right? And this kind of goes together with all of this. Once you have a skill to be able to handle better conversations, you're gonna be able to negotiate better. Now, can we take better classes? Can you take better classes to be able to handle negotiations? Absolutely. I've had some clients say, or not clients, some agents say, oh, I'm gonna take negotiation 101. I'm gonna do, hey now, I'll be right there. Yes, I'm gonna take negotiation to, get certified for negotiation. Absolutely, absolutely. What's the number one thing that's gonna help you negotiate better? Communication, and what else?
Confidence.
You ready?
Knowledge, and what?
Confidence.
Confidence, yeah, and doing it more often, right? So what if you role play negotiation? So what if you just did some of that too, right? So the more we do something, the more we're gonna get better. So it's again, yes, you can take the courses, you can do all of those things to be able to level up. But all of it ties together with salesmanship. Then when you put a big bow on it, you're like, okay, it's still sales, but it all comes under the umbrella of it, right? Negotiation. I remember one of my clients said, because I said to her, oh, I'm so glad that I was able to negotiate that for you. And she was a friend of mine. She goes, oh, I just thought you were the go-between. I'm sorry, what? The go-between? I go, you might as well just slap me. I said, is that what you think I am? I'm just the go-between? Now, had I provided value to her at that point?
Not her.
Not in her mind. If I'm just a go-between, if I'm just, passing the words back and forth, I'm not proving value. So what do we need to do to prove value in the negotiation? Because that's when she had said that. Oh, seller said he's gonna counter at 425. Okay, 420, okay, buyer said they're gonna counter at 430. Okay, great. That's a go-between. I guess that's what I was doing at that time. How do I increase my skill to be able to negotiate at a higher level? My husband said to me one time, he goes, if you can get them more money than they thought they were gonna get originally, if you're gonna get them more money than they originally wanted to get, you've just done your job well. And I said, you know what? That's really great. So every time I negotiated from that point on, I was like, how can I get them more money than what they thought they were gonna end up? If we're selling. Now, for a buyer's agent, how can I get them less money than what they wanted to pay for?
I love the trends. It's this way, that's really good. Part of what we do, the frustrating part of what we do is like convincing people, if you're good, you're not good. How do you do that? How do you prove to somebody that you're really good? How do I prove that I'm better than such and such, right? It's really hard, it's really frustrating, right? It's like, oh, I'm great, or I'm such and such, and yeah, we have data, we have statistics, hey, I'm top 5%, top 1, what does that even mean, right? But it's level setting expectations, right? When you sit down, I think that's the biggest, before I did this 7 years ago, I was in management consulting for about 4 or 5 years, right? That is huge, it's like everything. When you sit down and you say, hey, this is what we expect, this is normal, this is not normal. You get them on board with that, right? If you said, hey, you know what? This phone, sorry, whatever, right, this phone, it's worth, says, we know it's worth like $1,000, brand new. But we're on the same page, and he believes that it's worth 500, you got him 1,000, you're like, oh my God, you know, like, he just got me double, he got me double, and I'm just like, yeah, but, you know, so exactly, right? I've bent over backwards for some of my clients to get like everything out of it I could, and I knew it wasn't normal. I'm like, this is not normal, okay? But I was able to do this, oh, and by the way, I got this. If you didn't set that expectation at the very beginning, they're like, did you want like a pat on the back for that? Because I thought that's normal. I'm like, no, that's not normal, that's really hard, right? So exactly to your point, I'll sit down with them, I'll sit down with my buyer, like, hey, we just did the home inspection. We're gonna go in there for an amendment to address concerns, right? This is our wish list that we're gonna create. I'm gonna tell you what is normal, okay? And you're probably gonna be in the middle, right? As low as high as, but on average, most of the time, this is what happens. Okay, good. Oh my God, good news. I was able to get this and I got this. They're like, oh my God, Dean is amazing. Right, but if you never even had that conversation, you're like, hey, we got this, they're like, oh, okay, is that good?
Yeah. And I think the best gift for you as an agent is when high service is a norm for them. Right? They're like, they don't know any different. They just think that what you do is so great that that's just normal.
Yeah.
And you walk away going, do they just realize what we just did? We're freaking amazing. And they don't even know it.
Yeah, totally.
But sometimes that's just because they don't know any different. Because you've provided such amazing service the whole time for years and years and years. They don't know that there's any different because that's what they've come accustomed to. I got a messenger, and DM, is that what it's called on this? Oh, anyway, from a client from Chicago, and just a couple weeks ago, and we closed on their house 5 years ago. And he said, and they never answered anything, because we always do a 3600 or 5600, whatever we have. They never answered anything. He sent me a note, he goes, I just want you to know, we did not know that your level of service was what it was when you helped us buy this house. He said, we've had friends that have bought houses, and I'm like, well, I didn't get that call, thanks so much. He said, we've had friends that have bought houses since we bought ours, and it's been disastrous. He said, we did not know that what you did for us was so superior. And we just wanted to take a minute and thank you for what you've done for our family. He said, you've helped us live in this home and build a life for our family that we would have never had without you. I was like, can I screenshot that and frame it, please? Now, that's what makes it worthwhile. When you're building something and doing something for somebody else, because that's just your standard. And actually, that should be like rule number one. Your standard is so excellent in salesmanship that nothing else will do. Your level of service is so excellent that that is absolutely no compromise on anything else. That everybody else is like, oh, wait, that's not normal? Nope.
This is a hack. This is a salesmanship hack. Most people don't actually tell you what's normal and what's not. They just go in there guns a-blazing, I'm great, I can do it all, I can do all this stuff. And they're happy, they like it, but they never told
Yeah.
that this is not normal.
Yeah.
And you don't say this is not normal, it's just how you tell you, right? But you want them to walk away thinking, holy crap, that's not normal.
Right.
Right? But they wouldn't know unless there was something that you kind of put in there, right? And so you're not trying to pump up what more than what you are, but they don't know what they don't know, especially for first time home buyer. There's nothing to compare, right? You have somebody that's bought 10 houses, of course, it's easy for them to compare.
Right.
It's like dating. If you never dated a person, this is the first person you're dating, how do you know that person's really that good or that bad? Like, what does it even mean, right? So if you're on a first date or whatever, you know, you explain to them, this is the process, this is how I've done it, you know, in the past, right? When I'm working with my clients, you know, on average, expect this, right? And so, but know that this is a challenging market, right? And so, anyway, yeah, absolutely, remind them.
I'm gonna let Alan finish it out because I didn't realize that.
There you go.
So, you are, I'm taking my pocket.
So yeah, so that was negotiation strategy.
What do you do when you have those clients that they know about the process and they have really high expectations? Like they know, they get information from others and they're like, well, this client got all closing costs paid, offered under,
Yeah.
you know, and then they have such high expectations. So if you can't perform that well, they think you're just bad.
So, I love it, great question. So the question is, what happens if you have a friend or a client who's like, oh, hey, I have another friend who got this, and
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I hear this all the time, right? And so I would actually, I would challenge that. I wouldn't call it high expectations. They're just expectations, right? Whether they're low, high, they're just expectations, right? And I would say, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, I would try to find out, like, oh, what was the situation, right? And a lot of people like to jump to 2008. They're like, oh yeah, well, of course your friend bought in 2008. Like, they were giving houses away basically for free back then. I mean, but if it's not that, you can point out to situations right now in 2024, right now. Okay, so I just listed a house. True story, right? Johns Creek. It was rarer, just the situation. I had 10 offers. It was over $50,000 above this price. Easy. Do you think we gave any sellers concessions? Okay. Like on the just conversely, the same week, we all know there's houses out there that have been sitting there for 2 months, right? And I negotiated $60,000 off of this price, right? So you have to level set those expectations for your friend, right, or your client. Hey, that's awesome. I don't know their situation, right? I mean, that was great for them, right? But tell them this is the situation. It depends on what you're going for. If you're going for like an absolute dog, right? Like, if you have the vision, you have the connections to a general contractor, oh yeah, I can get you closing costs and more on top of it. I can get you a free steak dinner at the end of that, right? But if you're going for something that everybody else wants, that's really tough. We'd be lucky to even win it, right? So I think it's hearing it, saying awesome, but also explaining to them and level setting expectations of what we are doing today. Because everybody's goal is totally different. We have no idea what that guy's goal was, right, or the situation, that's all. So yeah, not a high expect, just a different
So
expectation.
communicate what exactly.
Yeah.
The normal expectation.
Yes, what yours, that was what happened with him, awesome, right? Ours is gonna be different, our goal's different, right? House is different, every house is different. Okay, cool. So handling objections and conflicts, right, with negotiating strategies. Handling objections and conflicts all the time, right? I can't do that. I can't do this, I can't do that, right? It's fine, right? Depending on who you're talking with, right? So obviously you could be talking to a buyer, you could be talking to a seller in the situation. Empathy goes a long way. And I'm smiling because I feel like I don't have any empathy. I've been told this too many times in my life. If my wife was watching this, she would be laughing. Empathy is absolutely a skill. I believe, right? True story, okay, I heard it's like, oh, my toddler is running around, or my child, I have a child. And I still sometimes find myself like not caring when I hear somebody saying that, like, I'm sorry, I can't do it, I'm terrible, I'm really bad at this, you know? It's a God-given talent, I think some people have it, some people don't. Sorry, just really quick, just a really funny story to me. Perimeter Church, right around the corner. One of the lead pastors, his name was Randy Pope, he's not doing it anymore, but he told a really funny, this was years ago. Part of his job is that he goes to like hospice and like hospital, and he talks to these people, right? And he was talking to the whole like congregation, he was laughing. He's like, I can't. He's like, when people cry, he's like, I'm the worst. I don't cry, I can't do it. But thank God my wife is really good at it, and she comes in and says, oh, you know, and it's like a bad look for him because he's supposed to be the one that's like, you know, but I'm bringing this up because I feel like I'm that way, right? And you gotta put yourself, imagine if you have to even be the person, even if you don't have a child. When you hear somebody say, sorry.
You
go ahead.
can't be insincere.
Oh, of course.
So you also have to be who you are.
Of course.
So
Of
So
course.
you know you're not empathetic,
Right,
right? But you know how to be you. too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
so I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
I was just shooting a text to a listing agent literally 40 minutes ago. She said she had a 2.5-year-old and a 3-year-old. And our Riley is 6 years old now. I was like, hey, I get it. We were just there just a couple of years ago, so I would have never said that even like a year ago, right? But it's like,
you're growing.
but yeah, but you're showing you understand, like, hey, I get it. That goes so far. You have no idea how far that goes in salesmanship and all this stuff, right? Something that Dina and I did talk about when she talks about mirroring somebody. Mirroring is not just, it is this, but it's also, hey, I get it. I understand. Is that also a form of mirroring? 100%. Absolutely. So it's not just body language. Yeah, that's absolutely part of it, but it's also, I understand where you're coming from. 100%, your experience, right? So the more you connect with somebody, the better and easier it is, right? I'm very lucky, I have a ton of hobbies. Like, I'm really into like a lot of different things, right? So the statistical probability that I can connect with you on something is higher, right? Oh, you moved to this, whatever, this state, or you're from this country, or like you like to eat this thing, or like you like watches or cars or this sport or whatever, like you have a child, so why? It's like anything that you have is a really high chance. I can connect. And you see people just open up, right? I had a client just now, he's going to fish, I don't fish that much, but I know that Shimano makes fishing components, right? That's a brand, Japanese brand, also make the derailleurs and bicycle components. They do both, right? And I was really invited. And he's like, oh, I have a boat, blah, blah, blah. Great, we're gonna find a place for your boat. You'll search for your house. And he's like, I'm fishing. Like, hey, is Shimano still a thing? Oh God, he couldn't shut for the next 30 minutes. He just goes off. He's like, oh God, I have this, the new reel, the rod, it's like, there you go. I'm not being, not authentic. I just literally asked him a question,
Yeah.
right? And then all of a sudden, we're like fishing buddies. Anything you can do to make it feel like you're cut from the same cloth. Amazing, right? Okay. And that is a good segue. I didn't see it, but now the next thing, building client relationships. There you go, right? Developing rapport and trust with clients. Literally what I just talked about, right? The more that you can talk to them about something that they like or they don't like, right? Hey, what do you think about that? That, whatever, that happened. Well,
Yeah, you're empathetic.
thank you so much.
We connect over pieces,
Love
pieces.
it. I think of ET when I see you. You know?
You're so good.
Really underrated. Thank you, by the way. Just hope because of political, okay, that's. Yeah, pass it out.
See, we just connected over Reese's pieces.
There you go, Reese's Pieces. There's things everywhere, there's signs everywhere, the type of car they drive, the kind of clothing they're, you don't have to know anything about these people as long as you just take a second.
Yeah, listen.
I already see Alaska, okay? Like, I'm gonna ask about it, because I've been to Anchorage, right? And even if you haven't been to Alaska, you're like, oh, that's interesting. There's so many things, okay? It's everywhere. You just have to look out and be cognizant.
No, this is a great conversation starter.
It
If you're
is,
wondering,
it is.
Oh, I have a cup with stickers from a lot of different places, so when I go places, I put a sticker on it, I walk around with it, just like my branded cup. Great conversation starter.
And I'm not knocking anyone who does this, please, if you wanna wear like a name badge, awesome. That's not my brand is, I don't do that, but I do, like I wear like a suit jacket,
Your pen.
I'll wear like a lapel pin. And I change it up all the time to different dumb things. I have like one that's like a Nintendo controller. I have one that's like a Pokemon, like Pokeball. And like, you like, so many people like,
Oh, yeah. Pokemon.
hey, yeah, I see that, right? And so it's the little things, right? So developing rapport and trust with clients, okay? Part of salesmanship, it's not on here, I wanna talk about it, it's super important, okay? I just used this literally 3 days ago, and it's not like like Dina and I were talking about this before we came here. If you don't take it a certain way, like, it could come off as being sly, or come off as like, right, or like, oh, this is like, what you're saying is kind of like, right? It's not, it's finding out how to connect with somebody so they feel comfortable. Whether that's sharing information, giving you a tip, a hint, something like that. Part of my strategy that I teach people on my own team, okay, is how can I get the edge? Think about it, how many times have you guys been in situations where you're competing with other authors?
Yeah.
I mean, you have, you will very soon, okay? That's the name of the game for how many years now? How many years?
Oh.
Multiple offers.
3 at least, at least 3.
Three,
I started this.
maybe 4.
Yeah, I haven't been doing this for 30 years, but I've been doing it for 7, 8 years. I had multiple offers even before I started, when we bought our own house. Not many, it was like 2. And then COVID was like 30, 35 offers, right? Okay. So I'm constantly trying to find the edge. How do I win, beat other offers?
Yeah.
That, if I'm representing a buyer, that's part of our job, is to do that, right? So this whole building rapport and trust, it doesn't just go with our clients. It's to other agents. And I use that more often than I use it on my own like clients. So I'll give you a perfect example. I'm not making this up. This literally just happened, okay? I called up, I was doing my 36 touch. I sent a text. We've talked about this, about, hey, do you know somebody that has painted their house? We talked about this. We did it, productivity coaching, sorry, okay. I'm having a moment here, okay? So part of like that 36 touches, right? We just send text messages or we call, whatever we want, as long as you're touching these people, right? This girl comes back, she's like, hey, I'm so sorry, I missed your last text, but my cousin's looking for a house. I'm like, yes, I'm listening. Get my attention now, right? It's like, what? Exactly. I'm like, yeah, hey, what's up? How can I help? She's like, yeah, but I can't promise it to you. They're talking to 2 other agents. I'm like, okay. By now, I'm feeling decently confident. I'm not god of real estate, but I'm like, I'm gonna beat these guys. Okay? So I love the challenge. She's like, okay, yeah, here's the number, Justin. Justin, by the way, is this fishing guy, same dude. Call him up, first time home buyer. He's analytical, you can tell he's kind of like, not skeptical, but he's like, okay, well, who are you? And, but I already have a connection because from that girl who sent me that text message, like, oh, hey, Christine, I'm constantly using her name so that she knows, like, he knows, Christine, family, friends. So I'm like chipping away at his like psyche, like we're all one friend group here, So I go, so yeah, tell me more about that house. Tell me more about that house that you guys, I heard that you lost one, or you guys were looking, or you talking to 2 other realtors? He was like, yeah, there's another house, we loved it, but it went under contract. I'm like, okay, he's like, quite frankly, my realtor that was, not my realtor, but the guy I was talking to, he didn't really, couldn't find out any information on what happened, or. He's like, do you know if we'll be able to find out what it sold to? Everybody wants to know that. Everyone wants to know that, right? And I'm like, yeah. So here we go. I set expectations. I'm like, hey, just letting you know. Usually you can't find out until when it closes. That's like 30 days on average. If it was a cash closing, sure, 2 weeks, whatever. But that's not normal. Almost 30 days, right? He's like, oh, okay. He's like, first time homebuyer, isn't it? Right? So a lot of people, my own mom would be like, hey, find out how much, I'm like, I can't just find out, that's not how that works, right? And so, but I was like, hey, but let me see what I can do, okay? And it was under contract for maybe like a week now, okay? So probably 3 more weeks until we would normally find out. Okay, so I'm like, okay, I have to win this call. I need to like put on my face and be like the best version of me now, and I called up the other agent. Part of the reason why we're in Keller Williams is there's a high chance the other person is also from Keller Williams.
Yep, there's a little inside there.
I mean, if you swing it right? So I called her up, she doesn't know who I am, that's fine. Like, hey, this is really weird. Hey, I know this is coming from left field, you have no idea who I am. Hey, KW Powell, okay, first of all. And that could be like this, doesn't matter. We're in the same family here. So I just want to throw that out there, okay? I think they were Atlanta partners, right? Not Chattanooga. If it was Chat North, it'd be even better, right?
But they still wanna work with the Keller Williams.
Sure, it's KW. I'm like, hey, KW, awesome, great. So, first of all, I want to make them feel like I'm not a threat to them and I'm not trying to compete for anything. So I say, hey, I'm working with a client right now who just started. It's true, I'm not making this up, right? In fact, they're not even my client yet, I'm just like asking, right? I go, we're just starting. I'm not familiar with this area. This is a Buford. Okay, I'm more like Johns Creek, Peachtree Corners, Alpharetta. And immediately she feels not defensive anymore. Oh, it's not like trying to find out information. I'm literally, I get an opportunity to like help another fellow KW agent, right? And she's like, oh yeah, it's crazy over here. I'm like, oh yeah, is it crazy? She's like, yeah. I go, hey, I saw that listing. The reason I'm calling this listing, my buyers love it, but it's gone. And she's like, yeah, it went pretty fast. I was like, yeah. So, and I still didn't ask about it. I'm like tiptoeing closer, right? I'm like, okay, yeah. She's like, yeah, it was pretty crazy. We had a ton of showings. I'm taking notes on single thing she says. Just yeah, and like agents, including me, I like to brag a little bit. She's like, 23 showings. Right. I didn't say anything else, right? And then I'm just like, okay, yeah, cool. And she tells me a little bit more about Buford. I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. I just had a listing in Johns Creek. True. Remember I told you those offers or whatever? I told her my stats of my listing that I just had literally the weekend before that. How many open house people came through my open house, how many showings roughly through the weekend, how many offers I got. Start doing it, right? And then I was like, yeah, we accepted an offer like over 50. I didn't give the exact number, but I was like, well over 50,000. She's like, oh. Yeah, well, we had 9 offers. She's like, it's like you see this where this is going, right?
Yeah, eventually she'll volunteer it.
She came out with and volunteered all the information. I put it down in bullet point. I'm like, hey, okay, awesome. Hey, that's really super, super helpful. I really appreciate it, right? She's like, yeah, good luck with it. Yeah, Buford's a great place. I'm like, all right, awesome. All right, called up Justin. Hey. 23 showings, 43 people sat by open houses. They got 8 offers and they went under, she even told me what they went under contract for. She told me exactly what they went under contract for. And that guy was like, holy crap, you're good. I got him information on things there's no way anybody else would have gotten. Now, was I guaranteed to get any of that from her? No, but I tried, right? And so, boom, right there, right? Mic drop, developing rapport and trust with clients and agents. That's what that should say, and agents. And guess what? I showed Justin one more house in Lawrenceville. I was the home inspection this morning. Just like that. Okay, that house. Single rate contract. Forgot, 500 something. 500 grand, okay? He felt comfortable with me. I got him information that the other agents could not get. Heck, probably even try to get. I can't get this in another 30 days, I'm not gonna try, right? But here's the important part. I level set expectations with him. I go, I don't want you to think this is normal. I can't pull a rabbit out of the hat every single time, right? So that is the power, okay? Use it to your advantage. Promise you the glasses. Okay, right? Developing rapport and trust, right? And sometimes you're proving yourself to these clients before they want to work with you, right? How good is this person? How good are you? What can you get the other, separate yourself from the other two? Luckily, I was pretty easy because the other 2 agents he was talking to were just okay. They didn't even try that one, right? Okay. Closing techniques, handling difficult situations. No, we don't have to go for this. This is what you know. I can talk it. Yeah, so closing techniques. Closing the deal effectively, overcoming hesitation, handling closing paperwork and procedures, right? So much of salesmanship is reading. I see you. I see you.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hold out any longer.
So much of salesmanship is reading the other person, right? And it sounds cheesy, but I don't know. I feel like for some people, it comes more naturally maybe to other people. They can see it, right? Like the look on their face if they're excited or they're not, or they're hesitant about something, right? Or they're not, I'm sorry, I'll admit it to you guys in this class, I hate paperwork. I hate agreements. That word, even for me, makes me like, ooh, right? Like, I don't like it. Okay, so I'm gonna be really careful. I'm being recorded here, so Aubrey Bailey or Dina hears me, Melba, you know, but I'll say this. Look, watch them, right? Be careful when you say agreement, how you say it, right? If the best case scenario, I've had people so comfortable, like, hey, don't write this an agreement. They're like, yeah, no, don't worry about it, I'll send it to you tonight. No pressure, low pressure, right? But if you come out there and like, boom, there's an agreement on the table with a pen next to it, it's like, calm down, I would never do that. It's just really like, what is that? You know? So I'm really careful of how I present that. I don't even talk about it, right? I want to get to know the person, right? If your friend came up and like, if your best friend came, hey, say, I need you to help me sign this thing, over, I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever, sure, right? If some strangers ask you to sign this, no,
You're like, no.
heck no, I didn't know who you are, it came right out 30 seconds ago.
Mhm.
So save that, at least until the end, please, don't even bring it up, okay? So it's reading somebody, okay, understanding their hesitations, right? Handling difficult situations, right? We're talking about conflicts, listen to them. I'm a horrible listener. I'm a decent talker, obviously, I love talking, but I'm a horrible listener. But when people tell you their stories, they're literally giving the answer. They're like, oh, I had this other realtor, he's like, no, that's great, right? Or how about this, what you just told me? Have another friend. So was my takeaway that you have a friend? That you're a friendly person? No, you're telling me, if I'm hearing you, it sounds like you have high expectations, you're curious, you're finding out how come my friend got this deal, I want a deal too. Nobody tells me, right, we've all done it, we go to Best Buy, we go to Target, hey, I have a friend, he just got $500 off this. Why are you telling me? Well, I want $500 too, clearly, right? So, okay, so now I make the mental note, okay, this guy wants a deal, who doesn't, right? So listen to people's stories, they're telling you they had a painful. That guy, Justin, when he told me, I was like, oh, hey, are you, didn't wanna step on anyone's toes, you know? But it sounds like you're already talking to a couple other realtors. He's like, yeah, but this guy is, you know, he's just not really doing much for me. Boom. There you go. He's telling me what is he telling? He's telling me that he's not satisfied with what he's getting. Okay, and I'm like, okay, great, awesome. Mental note, right? So go above and beyond for this guy. Not that we wouldn't normally, but that's extra important, right? So hesitations, conflicts, right? Talking about disputes, okay? People love stories. And luckily I like telling stories. So tell them stories or analogies of where you've seen this before. And that's not your own. The more we do this, the more stories we collect. Hey, I have a teammate at KW. Awesome story this happened. This is what happened, this is how it's solved. Right? So if you feel like you're overwhelmed or you're new to her, even if you're not, I'm 8 years in, I still learn something every single day. Right? I'm a collector of stories. Okay, that's what I do. And so they're all data points, right? Yeah, sorry, I'm just reading this. Okay. Right? Give me a situation where you had a difficult client. Okay, give me a difficult client.
Difficult client.
We're gonna,
One.
exactly, they're all,
Well, yeah, that's way.
you haven't had,
Oh.
first person ever has never had a difficult.
No, I'm not saying,
I know.
I'm trying to think, it's like,
You condo lady?
she wasn't a problem though, it was the HOA that was the problem. He was great.
I mean, why you're thinking,
Yeah.
I have a few.
okay, give me one, give me a funny one.
Oh, okay, well, I mean, I'm sure y'all heard of Gail a couple of years ago, like a year ago. I had a client who, I knew her,
Yeah.
so she
So
wanted to
you're
sell
like
her,
a
she wanted to sell
semi-friend.
her condo, and was in her early 70s.
Okay,
And, Italian woman from New York. And she
Oh,
was kind of, don't you remember her?
I remember
In the hall screaming?
the screaming in the hallway,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
what? Oh,
Yeah.
here,
The 100%.
she came here?
She was crazy, but I love her, but
Okay, what
crazy.
happened? Okay, what happened?
Well, I mean, it's just, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, oh, this was closing day, number one closing day.
Oh, okay, it was like a buy sell or?
Yeah, well, she was just selling her condo and there was issues with the buyer,
Okay,
like, funds and stuff, so she had to wait, and, like, she wanted to get to the office, like, 2 hours early. And sit there and wait.
okay.
So,
So
and she
it's not
did,
that
and I'm like, well, but I'm not gonna
she's-
sit there, it just, she was just gonna fly off the handle, if one little thing pivoted, like, say the closing had to be 15 minutes later, she would just
Losing.
lose it. Or if we had to wait a couple hours because we were still waiting for, the wire to get through, or whatever, again, lose it, then, oh my God. And I sat there with her all day, because she did not want me to leave.
Salesmanship.
And then I did leave for a minute.
Yeah.
And then when I left for a second,
Yeah.
she
Something
comes
happened?
running into here from across the hall,
Okay,
starts screaming.
screaming.
And I don't even know what she was screaming exactly, but thankfully maybe was able to calm her down, get her in the office by herself
Okay,
and get her lunch to get her calmed down.
Okay. okay.
And then, I had to, at the end of the day, tell her, I'm like, so unfortunately, the closing's gonna have to wait till tomorrow.
How did you break it to her?
The attorney did, thank God. He went down and told us both at the same time.
Okay,
That was not a good day, or good
Okay.
evening, because she
Okay.
called me several times, said a lot of, unfortunately, very nasty things.
okay, that's unfortunate.
But yeah, it is, but I knew she didn't mean any of it. So I just kept saying, I love you, Carol, Gail, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do whatever I have to do
Yeah.
to get this worked out for you. Don't worry, tomorrow it's gonna be okay, I'll meet you in the morning.
Empathy, high
And I-
empathy.
And, you know, it was just like up and down like a roller coaster for 2 days. We thank God when we closed the bit. And the funny thing about it is, so I've stayed in touch with her because I've known her. She didn't have a whole lot of support with her family here.
Okay.
And
Wow.
I saw her at Christmas time. I know.
Sounds
Her
like a gem.
daughter can't stand her, okay? I saw her at Christmas time.
Yeah.
I went to her little 55+ apartment place.
Yeah.
She walked me around that whole building, made me tour the place, which I'd already toured with her, but she forgot because I helped her find that apartment. And told everyone she saw that I was the best realtor in town and how much I did for her. But I mean, you would have never guessed it with some of the things that she said to me. Downright nasty, but I cared about her and she knew I cared about her. No matter how horrible it was.
Yeah, so that's another great story. So it's like a reminder, right? It's like,
But everyone in the office that day, you know.
yeah, I mean, it's like a movie, right? We're not at the end of the movie yet. Don't judge the movie until you've seen the whole thing.
And the key on that is that it wasn't anything you did. It wasn't anything about you, 100% about her,
Right,
right, and her situation.
oh, yeah. I mean, it was,
I heard you.
Okay, it's 2:30, but I would be remiss if I didn't say one last thing. Like, this is super important. You've already heard, my apologies, you've already heard it. These 5 people have already heard it, but it's super important to me. It is that perception thing. Okay, I just Googled to make sure I didn't give you the right numbers. There's like, I'm sure there's numerous studies on this, but like there was a study done through at Princeton. And they basically said that it takes a person 1/10 of a second to basically judge you.
Oh,
1/10 of a second, right? I totally believe it. Right? And so it's like, you meet somebody, it's like everything. What you're wearing, how you talk, is your car clean? What stickers are on your mug? Like everything, salesmanship can be distilled, in my opinion, down to your perception.
first impressions, everything.
Like, I could probably shove all of this stuff into perception, couldn't I? I don't know, like a listener, do I perceive you to be a good listener? Do I perceive you to be a knowledgeable person, professional guy? Yeah, there you go, right? It's everything, right? Your posture. Am I looking at you? Or am I on my phone? Guilty is charged, right? It's all this stuff, it's like, it's so simple, but we don't think about it, right? It's everything, right? And at the end of the day, when you walk out, right, comps are great, right? You might have all your materials, that's great. You didn't stutter, you didn't stammer. But did you connect with them? Do they feel like, oh, like, you want them, like, the goal is to make them feel like you're your friends, right, basically, right? And so, and the cool thing about once you get them as your clients, you develop that relationship as you sell, as you see one more houses. Right? You know, you building that with them. And then I think that's why I love what I do, because at the end of the closing table, you genuinely feel closer to them. And vice versa, right? And so salesmanship, when Dina asked me, hey, you want to tag team this or like, what do you like? Yes. Because like I believe it. It's like, she's like, yeah, it's like a dirty word no one really wants to talk about, like used car salesman, right? Yeah, I agree, that word sometimes gets a bad rep, right? But it's not at all. It's how you sell yourself, what people think about you when you first walk in, right? So, anyway, cool, thanks for coming, sorry I'm late. I thought it was like 1:30 to 2:30, it was 1 to 2:30. But anyway, yeah, yeah, no worries, we'll have more of these.
All right, Alan,
Yes.
let's talk about perception, but y'all know, we don't have. Alan was saying, talk about perception, right?
Yeah.
So I have a possible client, my daughter's next door neighbor, who died, right?
Oh, right, yeah, right.
And talking to the brother. And so today I reached out I texted him and I was like, hey, as you're going through the process of handling your brother's belongings, just want to let you know, I know estate sales, hallway, guys, you know,
nice.
I can help you out with. He texted me back, he's like, you know, he really didn't have a lot of stuff of value, I don't think it'd be worth worth, anybody's time. He said, but I'll keep it in mind as we get closer. We're putting our own home on the market and have been selling some things we are taking on Facebook Marketplace. It's not much, things about $25 to $100, just usually to clear out. Now, as far as perception, do I hit back with who do you have representing you in the sale of your own home? Or do I,
You don't know his address.
yeah, I don't know. I know he lives in Douglasville.
You know, I mean,
Just reading like that.
he knows you do what you do,
Yeah,
right?
he knows I'm a realtor. He knows I'm trying to sell his brother's house when they get closer in time.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying right now, because I just reached out to him, on the,
So
hey.
he's
I
telling
can
you
help
his house is
you.
on the market,
Well, he's saying that they're.
getting ready to.
They're getting ready to list it. But like I said, this is a whole initial conversation started for me, hey, as you're handling your brother's belongings, I can help you out, yada, yada, yada. Do I just switch right now into, hey, speaking of your house being on the market?
No, I would,
Oh,
it's a sensitive time, right?
yeah.
So I would drop in low key hits though. So I would say, hey, I'm helping another realtor out there, they're listing their house down the, like somewhere else. Like, make sure they know what you do, right? But I wouldn't be like, hey, I wanna list your.
Yeah, who do you have,
What is he-
as you're preparing to put your home on the market, who do you have representing you?
Hey, I'm doing an open house or another thing, but I can swing by and help you with this other thing. Like, you're like putting it in there, right? Like, and if he is not picking that up, or it's impossible for him not to understand not what you're trying to do, but that he understands that this is your job, right?
And you 100% already told him that you're,
100%. Oh, yeah, he has my card, I gave him my
And
card.
Well, I know that I'm helping with your brother's house or whoever's house it was, and I hear you're saying that you're getting ready to put your house for sale.
Yeah.
If there's anything that I can help you with,
There's no red
just let me
lines.
know. You don't have to say, well, I'm a realtor, who's your
There's
agent?
no-
You
yeah.
can say, hey, while I'm helping prepare this one, and I hear you're doing yours, is there anything any questions you have for me, or anything I can do for you to help you?
Come from.
Without, yeah, like, you know what I mean, but not saying, is there anything I can do for you
Why don't you
to
go,
sell your
why
house?
don't you
Or,
go
you
let me
know
get that? Yeah.
you know what I mean?
As
Gotcha.
long,
Say it without saying it,
as long as we come to a place of contribution,
right?
that's genuine. This was literally your father was doing it. Just, I would just, I would approach that, right? But also, Jeff is really.
It is, but I mean, just a very simple, is there anything I can do for you while we are preparing
100%.
your other one?
Yeah,
The end.
but like we said, I think everybody agrees, right, is that if they know this is what you
Yeah.
do, you don't need to tell them this is what I do. And I would just, and if there's any hesitation of that, you can just drop it in, like, hey, I'm helping someone,
Yeah, something.
and they're like, boom, again, he knows that's what you do, and that's it. But I think it's, it could come off as tacky if you
It's
talk.
just, yeah.
That's why I was.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay, awesome, thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Alan.
Alan.
Have a great weekend.
I might just turn this off.
No,
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Say
know.
something without pushing yourself on.
coming from contribution.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly,
we're
like,
in- Yeah.
I just want you to know I'm here to help
Thanks, guys.
with his
Thank you.
house.